Welcome to Sports Guys Iowa. We're doing our second weekly Pick'em show. I've got Jordan Cole again and Brandon Leonard Ghost joining us. So today we're going to pick 11 games, guys. I'm pretty excited. Last week was pretty close to a full slate. After this week, we've got 4 or 5 teams off. It will be a full slate going forward. So excited about it. Let's kind of just dive right in, right?
Sounds good.
You guys
Yep.
had a great weekend. So
No, I didn't.
you didn't. Neither of you guys did, which we're going to talk about during the show. I actually gathered 4 games. These are kind of 4 big games. They're kind of the closest games we had. I was watching on a lot of feeds, guys. So Benedictine, which was number 2 versus number 1. Look at how close that game was, right? In the bottom right. Augustana versus Simpson. That's Illinois. That's the one right across the river in the Quad Cities on the bluff. I think it's Moline or Rock Island. I'm not sure where that is. But that's actually them knocking down the pass to beat Simpson in overtime. Wartburg, watched a lot of that game. Monmouth was tough. They had a lot of picks. Wartburg, in my opinion, didn't look their best. I was a little concerned about them. And then Dubuque played just a monster game against an incredible team up at UW Stout, which kind of goes into what we got going on this week, right? So that's one of the games we're going to pick because Wartburg is going to Stout. But Dubuque played their hearts out, but unfortunately lost. So let's dive right into the games, guys. Okay. So let's start with the Cohawks. They're going to UW River Falls, who's the 13th ranked team in Division III. Been there before. Cohawks have played there probably 6-7 years ago. It's a tough place. They're number 13. They've got one of the best quarterbacks in the nation. Hanson Ratings, who does all our D3 points, has River Falls favored by 12. Jordan, who you got?
I'm going to pick the Cohawks here to cover the points. Last week, me and Roseberry had the pleasures of going to Mount Vernon and watching Co just beat up on Cornell yet again. And one of the things that stuck out was when Roseberry was talking to the running backs coach, he kind of said that they had 3 running backs that would be kind of on rotation, and they all looked very good to me. So I was looking at River Falls box score last week, and they gave up 207 on the ground and 4.5 yards per carry. So I think Cohawks will be able to run the ball, and then their Kelly, he's got a hell of an arm. So whether or not they win the game, I do think that they're going to keep within 12.
Oh, that's great. It's great insight. Ghost?
I learned my lesson after last week. I am rolling with my Cohawks. Like Jordan said, could UWRF be susceptible to allowing a lot of yards on the ground? I'm kind of checking, some of the box score. Both teams went crazy through the air. Co almost threw for 400. UWRF threw for 443. I'm interested to see how the Cohawks do on third down. Didn't feel like the Cornell really put up a whole lot of a fight, or maybe they did, and Co's just way better. We'll probably go with that one. They were 6 for 10 on third down, and previously ranked Alma was only 5 of 17 against River Falls on third down. So I'm going to take the Cohawks for that reason. Similar in the early season rankings, that's really all we have to go off of. So I think they can keep it within 12.
Yeah, I think I did a lot. I kind of dove into this one just because being a UW grad and River Falls, they've got potentially the player of the year in Division III at quarterback. They're 13. They've been right there. If the Cohawks can hold up on the back end, I think they're going to cover. And I think they're good enough to hold up on the back end. So I'm going to pick Co to cover also. So let's move down to another game. These 2 teams, UW Platteville and University of Dubuque, are, I think, about 20-some miles apart from each other. Platteville they're a wagon. They're a power. They're going to bring a lot of fans. That's not a very far distance to drive. They'll probably bring the spotted cow over the border with them and just go wacko in the parking lot. But I really think Platteville's going to cover and cover big. Jordan, who you got?
I'm going to take Dubuque here. Maybe they did leave it all out there last week against Stout, but like you touched on at the beginning, they're a good team, and Dubuque hung with them. So sure, 15's not a lot of points as a 15th ranked team, but I think Dubuque can hang with them if they kind of keep it rolling after their outing last week against Stout.
Brandon, what do you think?
15's kind of a weird number, but I'm with you, JD. I'm going with the Pioneers. You had on the graphic that UD put up one hell of a fight against Stout, but on the flip side with Platteville, they played Aurora, who was open in their top 25 as well, and they just smacked them around. I believe it was 41-0. They had well over 500 yards of offense. I like the Pioneers making the short trek. It's they're not having to have any big fatigue from the bus ride across the pond there. And give me the Pioneers.
Yeah, I think what you said too, Don Beebe, I think coaches Aurora, the old NFL player, and I think they just hammerjacked them. What I thought was interesting, Jordan, is I think if Dubuque wouldn't have played as well, this probably would have been about a 28-point spread. So I think they made the spread a lot closer than it really would have been. And I think they've got a chance to move up in the top 4 and maybe higher. They looked really good. I saw a lot of that game. So I don't think they're going to cover, but I think if it was 28, they'd cover, right? And I think 28 is what it would have been, except for last week. So let's go to the third game. We got the Loris Stewhawks going to Benedictine. And just so that you guys know, Benedictine beat Buena Vista, the Beavers, 35-0 last week. And Loris played Hope College. And I can't remember the exact score of that game, but might have been 62 to 0. Is that right?
I think my notes had them at, I think maybe I had it wrong, but I had it at 41-0. I could be wrong.
41-0. Sorry. I was probably piling on.
I could be wrong too. I could look that up real quick.
I think you're right, Brandon, but they got it really hammered last week as one of our Hope College came in.
You were right. It was 62-0.
Okay, 62-0.
I had the halftime tweet marked.
Yeah. Yeah. So, they came in and took all hope away from Loris, and they turned the Rock Bowl into a quarry, as they would say. So I'm going to go first. I think Benedictine is going to roll them. I think the Loris really needs to get things moving in the right direction. And after the disaster of last week, I don't think they're going to. Ghost, who do you have?
I originally had Loris. And you know what? Hell with it. I'm going to stick with them.
Okay.
Looking at last year's matchup, it was a 5-point game. Benedictine did come out on top. The optimist in me is saying, stick with your gut, go with the Dewhawks. There's no way they're going to shut out again. I can tell you that.
Yeah.
But
Jordan, who do you have, bud?
I did quite a bit of research on this game, got all the way through, get all the way down to the Buena Vista game, and realized that there's 2 Benedictine colleges in D3. So I did research on the other one that played Grandview. So I'm going to stick with Benedictine and just say, the hell with it. They're going to give it to Loris. So they're going to cover 33.
Okay, that's great. That's great. Here's another really big game. The Randolph-Macon Yellow Jackets, which I love. They're coming in from Virginia. That's a heck of a plane flight coming into Pella. I'm not quite sure how you get into Pella. I suppose you go into Des Moines and take the covered wagon over to Pella. But they're number 20. They're coming into Central, and Central's favored by 2. So I think this is a fantastic game. I'll go first. I saw Central play the Illinois Wesleyan. I was watching the game. They had a big pick in the third to kind of get up on top of a team that I thought they were going to beat by a lot more than that, and they ended up winning by 11. So I don't like doing this because I want the ARC to win, but I'm going to pick Randolph-Macon to win and with the cover. Ghost, do you want to go?
Yeah, at my gambling conglomerate group chat, if this was Division One, this would be what we would classify as a system play for the Dutch, hosting a ranked team and being favorites. But this isn't Vegas. I'm not putting money on it. If I was putting money on it, it'd be Randolph-Macon. I'm gonna go with them as well. I mean, like you said, Central maybe not the cleanest week one game. Randolph-Macon lit up the scoreboard. I think they put up. I want to say they were in the 40s. So no long flight concerns for me. I'll take the Yellow Jackets as well.
Okay, Jordan.
Yeah, I had that down. They won 48-34 against Dickinson last week, but Central probably didn't look as clean last week, but you guys kind of touched on it last week, saying how playing down that bowl is just so difficult and a long trip. And like you said, Ghost, a system play. I have to take the Dutch here.
You're sticking with the system. All right.
I think that's great. So the next game we got is Wartburg up at UW Stout. It's in Menominee, Wisconsin. Cohen and Wartburg actually play 40 miles apart on Saturday. They start at the same time. So one of the things I was hoping that we could organize as ARC fans is for those two fan bases who don't like each other to meet up halfway. Let's say like Kimberly, Wisconsin, I think is maybe halfway. I'm not quite sure I got the town right. And maybe they could tailgate together and bury the hatchet, so to speak. But I don't think that's possible. So that little sideline, I watched Wartburg. I watched the Stout game. Man, this game is hard. And I can't believe Stout's favored by 2 because they're 33 if the poll went that high and receiving votes, and Wartburg's 9. But man, the parts I watched, neither team looked great. Now I know it's week 1 and there's a lot of talent, and UW Stout's got a great quarterback. So I'm going to go with the Knights on this one to win. That's what I'm going to do.
Good deal.
Yeah, I'll kind of chime in about the whole tailgating idea. I think that probably go over like a fart in church. Not very well. And I'm going to say the hell with the system again. I got to go with the ARC's Knights. I mean, Warburg just being underdogs. I find that really hard to believe. It'd have to be a top 5 team for me to think that they're not going to win outright. So I'm going to stick with the home state and go with the Knights as well.
Jordan?
Yeah, I'll throw the system to the side here as well. It's the Knights or pass here for me. I think if they're going to cover the 2, they're also going to win the game. Both teams didn't look very dominant in the first week, but like you said, JD Monmouth was a pretty stout opponent, so no pun intended with UW Stout. So yeah, I'll take the Knights here.
Yeah, I think it's really interesting. One thing that I noticed in the Hansen ratings is all the WIAC teams, the Wisconsin athletic conference teams, are like super highly ranked in their system. So that's like from Whitewater to River Falls to La Crosse and I think that weighted into it. That's why I read it like 3 times. Man, he's got it. It's a WIAC versus ARC matchup. If Co and Wartburg can win on Saturday, that to me almost means there's automatically 2 teams in the playoffs from the ARC. So, and if Dubuque can give another good game, I think that really bodes well for the ARC. So I think in the ARC conference offices, wherever they are, I think they're cheering like mad for those 2 teams. So now let's go to my favorite one. Luther, man, we all picked them last week, and they just got annihilated on the blue field by Milliken. And I was watching the game, and then I thought, okay, well, this is probably their second best chance for a win. They're playing Martin Luther in New Ulm, Minnesota. I think that's the home of Shell beer. You guys ever had that Minnesota beer? Um, it's been up
I
there for
can't
like
say that I
150
have.
years. It's a Minnesota thing. I'm pretty sure that's where it's from. But I thought this is the winner of this game is going to be able to put the 95 theses on the door, hammer them on the door like Martin Luther did. And or we could say this is the who needs the Pope bowl, right? So after watching Luther, the coach has been great to us. I think they're going to do much better in the Midwest Conference, but man, I'm going with Martin Luther.
Yeah,
I'm also going to go ahead, Jay.
I was just going to say I'm also going to go with Martin Luther after Luther's, like you said, they've been great to us here at SGI, but it was a tough performance week 1 against Milliken, and I think it's going to keep happening again, and they're going to start the season 0-2, and Martin Luther is going to start the season 2-0.
Yep. Okay. Ghost, who you got?
I'm all over Martin Luther as well. I did a little bit of recon on them. Looks like they won their first game 33-14. This fella, Brady Turiff, their quarterback, played as a freshman last year and did some very nice things. And he's got a pair of first team all upper Midwest Athletic Conference, the UMAC. Got a pair of all conference receivers there and fellows named Thomas Colpin and Jude Peterson. And I got to be honest, I think I'd take this line all the way out to 28. No disrespect to the Norse, but I got to see something. I got to see something from them before I go back to them. Not getting burned again.
Yep. I agree. Well, hey guys, show's kind of taken off, so we need to do a quick sponsor break. So I'll do the sponsor read on this one. Our sponsor tonight is the Stevens Point Brewery, founded in 1857 in Wisconsin. In my opinion, the world's greatest beer. I used to have a T-shirt, a Point Beer T-shirt that had this slogan on it that it's not just for breakfast anymore. I wish I still had it, but it might be the finest Pilsner in all of Wisconsin. And I think, as we were talking earlier, I might have lived in that house there with the snow on it back in college. But world's finest beer, our number one sponsor, just want to give them a shout out. So let's go back to the show. Let's talk Beloit versus Grinnell. And we'll kind of pick up the speed, guys. But Grinnell last week didn't look all that well against McAllister. I'm not sure I'm saying that right. I was watching the game on the feed. They got a really nice setup with the facility. I want to go to a game there because it kind of got boxes right on top of the field. But Grinnell's favored in this one, and I think it's one of their big chances for their 2 or 3 wins. So I'm going to go with the Pioneers.
Yeah,
Who wants? Jared?
I was just
Go
going
ahead,
to say that both teams lost pretty close games last week. I think they were both 1-score games. I think Grinnell lost to McAllister and Beloit lost to Rockford. So I think it's going to be another close matchup, and Beloit's going to keep within the number.
Okay.
I'm going with Beloit covering. I do like the Pioneers to win, but just stat peeking, neither team completed 45% of their passes. They both averaged 1 yard to carry. I mean, this could be a slobber knocker in this unseasoned. I guess you never know with Iowa weather, of course, but supposed to be pretty hot. Could be some fatigue on Saturday. I think it's going to be a low scoring rock fight, but give me Beloit covering.
Okay. Sounds great. Let's move on to Simpson versus Crown, Minnesota. I watched a lot of the Simpson game. They looked really good to me against Augustana. Hard to do a comparison on competition, but Simpson's getting 32. Man, that seems like a lot. And I know that you're on the road. I think Simpson will win, but I think Crown's going to cover because I think they're going to call off the dogs.
That's a good. Just there.
I'm gonna go the other way. I'm gonna say the Storm roll big time. I think they're gonna be kind of pissed off that they lost that close one to Augie there, and kind of looking a little bit at Crown there in that same conference as Martin Luther. They're projected to finish pretty much in the cellar as well. So I think Simpson's going to come out motivated. They're going to win big. And, while we have it real quick, I do want to give a shout out to the Storm real quick. Their kicker, Aiden Lanier, Division One rejects, posted today that he was their Walter Camp D3 special team player of the week after going 3 for 3 with a 49-yard field goal in that heartbreaking loss last week. So tip of the cap to the Storm and Mr. Lanier.
Yeah, that's great. It's great.
Simpson is in Indianola, Iowa, home of where Chris Street played his high school ball. So RIP to Chris Street. Number 40. They're going to hang 40 on Crown. Give me Simpson.
Okay. Hey, that's a good segue for our once a week, what I call vent. We're allowing each other 30 seconds each to vent on a game. And just very quickly, it doesn't have to be a game that we're picking. Could be some game that happened in Ames this weekend. So I want to give both guys a chance to vent. Brandon, why don't you go first? I know you're a Titans fan. It was a rough weekend for you. So
yeah, I'm not giving the school names any satisfaction and their fan base any satisfaction of complaining. So I'll just go ahead and say I don't think I trust Brian Callahan coaching Earl Middle School. I think he and Calvin Ridley did number 1 pick Cam Ward some big disservices this weekend, among others. And I'll just leave it at that. Otherwise, we're going to go way over time.
Okay, sounds great. Jordan, what do you want to get off your chest?
Ghosts brought up kickers. I did not see any great college kicking play. I'm laying 31.5 with Boise. They're to go up 34 in a 27-yard field goal. Guy just put it in the stands, like wasn't even close. And there's a lot of that around D1. Maybe we're in the wrong league, boys. Call up the D3 guys, and you're as the Mets. Who was that when they said your ass is in the jackpot? Well, Boise's kicker, that's where it's at, buddy.
I love it. Well, guys, I got nothing to vent about. I got the Badgers actually on while we're watching, and that worked out well. And the Packers were rolling, and those Orange and Cardinal guys won in Iowa, which made me extremely happy. So I got nothing to vent about. It was a great weekend. So let's get back to the picks. Wisconsin Lutheran versus Buena Vista. This is a very close game. I think this is a really good chance for Buena Vista to win. I don't think they're going to have a lot of chances to win this year. So because of that, I'm going to pick them, even though they got really manhandled last week by Benedictine, Illinois. I just got a gut. Let's go with the Beavers. Let's root for the ERC. That's my pick.
Yeah, I'll agree with you there, JD. It just feels like a pretty evenly matchup here based on the line as well. But yeah, I think Buena Vista they're gonna hold down the fort in Storm Lake and bring home a W.
I know we shouldn't try to lean too much on past games, but Wisconsin Lutheran just slapped around the Beavers last year. To the tune of 44-13. And for that reason, I'm taking the Warriors.
Yeah, that's some good research. That's telling me I should have looked at last year's game. So let's quickly go to D2. Upper Iowa's back. Ghost and I were at their first game. Drake was good. I think Upper Iowa was going to have a good season. They're favored by 12.5 against South Dakota School of Mines, who has a really kick-ass logo, by the way. I researched it. Upper Iowa has had some key injuries, which we'll get into later in the year. But I just have a feeling from watching them live, I think they're going to put it on them, especially after a week and a half off. And I'm going to pick Upper Iowa to cover.
Yeah, I'll second that, JD. They're gonna cover. They're gonna be well rested, like you said, and it's gonna be a get right game for the Peacocks. And up there, it's in Fayette, so they'll be rocking.
Yep, agreed. I think we got 3-0 across the board. My wife was a Peacock grad, so have to show my support here.
All right. I love that. I love that Alexandra was a Peacock grad. I didn't know that. We're going to have to feature her on a podcast sometime.
So,
Um, so let's quickly move on to St. Ambrose, the Bees. They got a good shot of winning this game. They're off to an 0-2 start. They've lost to Briar Cliff already. Because I want the Bees to be successful, I'm going to pick them to win, but not cover. Just haven't seen enough for them to cover. So I'm going to say Central Methodist to cover.
yeah, I'm gonna take Ambrose here to cover. Just like you said, both teams kind of off to a rocky start with Central Methodist having to travel out of state here. I think it might just be a little bit too much for them, and Ambrose with a little get right spot, and hopefully take advantage of one of those games where you're expected to win and do it handedly.
Yep.
I'm buzz, man. Go Bees. Looked at the loss to Missouri Baptist was a close one, lost by 3. Central Methodist, they're 0-2 as well, and they're averaging a whopping 8 points per game. So I think this is St. Ambrose's chance to kind of flex their muscles and again another get right game for St. Ambrose.
Okay, great. And our last game, guys, is Briar Cliff at home against Hastings, Nebraska. I'm going to pick Briar Cliff just because I know one of the young men who coaches there, and I want him to have a successful season. But also looking at it, they should be able to handle Hastings. It's a close line. It's, they're at home. They're coming off a real tough game against Morningside. I think they're going to bounce back. I think they're going to win and cover. Yep.
I'm going to take Hastings here. Just maybe I'm a little bit too hard on Briar Cliff after last week with Morningside. Maybe they're just that big of a powerhouse. But after those big games where you kind of get knocked around a little bit, the following week it's tough to get your senses together. So I think Hastings can have some success here and at least keep it within a field goal.
Yeah, Jordan, 700 yards of offense Morningside had. Ooh.
That's impressive.
Yeah, that is tough. But I don't think Hastings is anywhere near close to Morningside. And Briar Cliff's at home. Give me the Chargers.
That's great, guys. I mean, that to me, that's fantastic. That's a great way for us to end our show. So really appreciate our second show. We'll be back next week. I don't know what games we're going to get out to. I was thinking of maybe rolling over to Central on Saturday. It's the closest game to us. Unfortunately, this weekend, we don't really have any games close to us, guys. Almost all the teams are gone. So I don't know if we're going to get to a game this week. Jordan doesn't have a game anywhere close to him in the Eastern side. So we may just have to watch them on the feed and report on them that way. But we've had a lot of fun so far, and we really appreciate everybody listening.
Yeah, second that. I'm going to be going to Ladora this weekend. I do have to officiate a wedding. So passing by Grinnell, will time allow it? Wouldn't mind popping in and catching a little bit of action just to see what's going on there. But I will have the Vin man with me. And as you saw at Drake Stadium, he's a little bit tough to handle while on the clock for the SGI team. So we'll see about that.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, guys, hey, really appreciate the great show.
All right. Have a good one.
Appreciate you.
Okay. I stopped.